They smiled when they heard about the millions my aunt left me. "We'll guide you," my dad said, like they ever had. But when the lawyer slid the adoption papers across the table, their smiles fell apart. They hadn't just lost the money, they'd lost their control over me forever. I remember the first night they returned. The knock at the door was hesitant, almost timid. I didn't open it immediately. Years of absence, of hollow excuses and broken promises had hardened me. When I finally let them in, they spoke in syrupy tones, weaving nostalgia with feigned concern. I let them talk. I always let people show their cards first. I grew up believing love had a shape, a smell, a consistency. With them, it was smoke and mirrors. I trusted, I hoped, I ached. Every holiday missed, every birthday forgotten, every time I waited for their car to pull up while my friends' parents hugged them, I filed it away. Pain becomes currency when you learn how to invest it. The betrayal started subtly. A casual suggestion about investments. A friendly question about my living arrangements. Little prods, tiny insinuations. I smiled through them. Smiles are weapons when sharpened correctly. But then I found it. The text my father never meant to send to my mother. "She's mine once she signs the papers. The money won't matter." I read it 3 times before I allowed anger to rise. Not rage, not panic. Control. Told, deliberate control. That message didn't just betray intent, it exposed weakness. It was the blueprint for my plan. I spent weeks collecting evidence, observing patterns, memorizing their tactics. They believed absence had erased my memory, that time had softened me. It hadn't. Time had refined me. Each call I recorded, each bank transfer I monitored, each casual slip they made, meticulously logged. I built a dossier, silent and precise, a mirror to the manipulation I'd endured. I did not act immediately. Revenge is a garden that requires patience. I needed the right season, the right exposure. I smiled at dinners, agreed to meetings, nodded at advice I never intended to follow. All the while, I constructed a path they couldn't see, a trap camouflaged by normalcy. The lawyer's office became the theater. I arrived early, hands folded, posture perfect. They entered with familiar confidence, exuding the entitlement I'd been raised to recognize and despise. My mother's eyes sparkled with ambition. My father's jaw tightened with control. They didn't notice me watching them, cataloging their every gesture, every twitch. Then came the signal. The lawyer, with a sympathetic glance, slid the first set of documents across the table. Wills, trusts, adoption papers. Their eyes darted to mine. "This is the adoption agreement," the lawyer said. Their smiles faltered. I watched it happen, frame by frame. My father's mouth tightened. My mother's hand trembled. They realized, too late, that the law, precisely the same law they had always believed could be bent, was now a weapon pointed at them. I leaned back in my chair, calm, calculated. "You've never guided me," I said softly, each word a scalpel. "You've only ever tried to own me." Shock registered before panic. They flipped through the papers, their faces draining of color, realizing the magnitude of what they had lost. Every manipulation, every empty promise, every calculated smile. They had underestimated the child they left behind. The lawyer confirmed what I already knew. Adoption finalized. Control evaporated. Not a cent, not a claim, not a foothold. I watched as their world, so meticulously constructed around entitlement and influence, crumbled. Silence settled over the room. Heavy. Complete. I left them there, clutching the papers that meant nothing. Outside, the air was cold, sweet with freedom. I inhaled it like a drug, savoring the quiet thrill of victory. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to gloat. The collapse had its own music, a symphony of their disbelief and my liberation. Driving home, I thought of the years I'd spent waiting. Waiting had been an ally. The years of silence, the wounds, the absence, they had prepared me for this. The revenge wasn't loud, but it was perfect. It wasn't just about money. It was about proving that absence couldn't erase strength. That betrayal, no matter how personal, could be outmatched with patience and intellect. I parked, stepped out, and let the dusk settle over me. Freedom didn't feel like fireworks. It felt like the slow, satisfied closing of a door, the final click echoing in my chest. They had taught me everything I needed to know about control, about ambition, about deceit. And I had taken all of it and turned it into armor. For the first time in decades, I smiled. Not at them, not for them, but for myself. Justice isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It waits, and when the moment is right, it leaves no doubt.